Welcome to In the Green Room. I'm Kinga.
And I'm Chet.
This is Martin.
I'm Richard.
And I'm Morgan.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Cheers.
Cheers.
Happy Monday.
Monday.
Cheers, Chet.
Monday fun day.
Welcome,
Monday
Richard
fun day.
and Morgan.
Thank
Welcome
you.
to the show.
Normally I would have wine too, but I had some last night. I went to a comedy show. I saw Jimmy Carr
tell
live.
us.
Yeah, he was incredible.
He is
But-
one of my favorites.
yeah,
He's
he was
a little
incredible.
twisted, but man,
Oh, yeah.
he's so funny.
Well, yeah, his
He's
jokes are
great.
so dirty and dark and raunchy, but he gives it in this proper
English,
British accent,
yes.
and so it sounds like a TED Talk on the surface. But if you actually listen to the material, it's so dark and raunchy and so funny and so clever and very quick. A lot of his jokes are, 15 seconds to 30 seconds. So punch, punch, punch. A lot of laughter,
Wow.
and his crowd work was insanely good.
So
Did
did
you
you see
go
the
live?
early show or the late show?
The Late Show, and both of them he went over 2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, which is
Wow.
really long for a
Incredible.
comedian.
Where was it?
That is.
At the Kita Theater in Mesa, which it's only like about 25 minutes from where I am in Scottsdale area, but it's a beautiful venue. Like the sound and
It's not part of the Mesa Arts Center?
Yeah.
Oh, it is, yeah. Cool.
yeah, it's
Oh,
that
yeah,
big
that
theater
is.
in there.
Oh,
and
Mesa
it fits about
Amphitheater?
Yeah.
no,
Mesa
not
Arts
Mesa
Center.
Amphitheater. I
Mesa
call that
Arts
Kita
Center.
Theater, but it fits probably about
Yeah.
5,000.
Yeah.
It's a good sized
There's
theater.
several
Was it sold
venues
out?
Just about, yeah. But he had 2 shows. The first one was sold out, and the second one was
Wow.
probably about 90%.
Did you go with the big crew, or who'd you go with?
No, I just went with a date. It was a lot of fun though. But ironically, since we're talking about yoga and health and that kind of stuff, because the show went so long, I needed to do some extra yoga today, which was why I was a little bit late.
You were laughing too hard. You had to work out those stomach muscles.
Well,
Good
anything where
clothing.
I have to sit for like longer than an hour in one spot, I end up getting kind of tight in either my neck or my back.
Yeah.
So the next day, I just have to do some corrective movements, which usually are yoga.
Morgan can help you with that.
Yeah, so I'm curious, where do you find those moves? Is it something that you just do, pull out of your repertoire, or do you go to YouTube?
It's yoga with Adrian,
Oh,
actually.
I
We've talked to
love
her
her.
before. Yeah, we've
Yeah,
both discussed
she's-
our mutual...
She's great. She's
Yeah.
like,
That.
it's an online, well, she posts all her videos to YouTube.
She's
but
like a yoga
it's
master,
just
though,
like
and she posts a
free
lot of flows.
yoga, accessible to
that's
everyone
cool.
because it's available on YouTube. So it's like,
What's her name?
It's
Yoga
called
with
Yoga with
Adrian.
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 And she
Wait,
has
yoga
her
with
dog.
Adrian.
Yes, and
Okay.
she has her dog Benji on there in the videos with her. And she does, short videos, long videos. She does 30-day series as well, so you can really get into a commitment of practice.
And I love her. She constantly is giving you good mental cues, which basically turns it into like a meditative exercise, because she's always kind of telling you where your focus should be, whether it should be on your breath or a certain, form check or posture check. But if you really are listening and following her directions, you can't really have any other thoughts going
Exactly.
on. So it's such an amazing
Wow.
meditation experience.
Yeah,
It's like my favorite thing to do if I'm stressed or tight, like from going to a show or something like that,
I've
or actually
done-
from DJing.
I've done 1 or 2 episodes with Chet
I've seen it,
when
yeah.
I was I needed to be cheered up, and he's like, "Okay, you're going to do this yoga with Adrian." And I did
Oh,
it
great.
together with Chet.
Yeah.
It's really
now.
And
good.
she has yoga for everything. Yoga for gardeners, yoga for
Everything.
You've seen
hikers,
her
yoga
too?
for wine drinkers.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, we've been following. My wife and I've been following her for about 10 years. Sherry's
Wow.
actually a member of her online community where she
Really?
pays a monthly fee and does more of the advanced yoga. 'Cause,
Oh.
I'm more of a beginning yoga kind of guy,
Mhm.
but she's definitely more advanced. And so yeah, she's
That's
great.
wonderful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
her
great.
yoga with
Oh,
beginners
I gotta check
video
that
is
out.
probably my favorite single warm up for a workout.
Mhm.
The way it like realigns your core and your spine, even if you're an advanced lifter and you can move heavy weights, it's an amazing warm up. I
Mhm.
love it.
Yeah, she's really good for like kind of going back to the basics, or just like if you're feeling in a little bit of a slump and you're just, I want to stretch, and just pick any one of her videos. I've done that countless times. Like, you always end up taking something away from it that you need.
And she's
Always
also
feel
stunning.
better.
She's beautiful, but she's also she seems humble.
She's very soothing, I would say, her presence.
Yeah,
Yes.
very
Enjoy
calm.
calm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Centered.
But
Genuine,
however,
genuine.
as great of a resource as that is, it's still better to do yoga in person with a trainer, because then they can be giving you feedback on your form
Sure.
live.
Yeah, definitely.
So don't
and
you-
even like hands-on adjustments.
Don't you do
sometimes
classes?
where appropriate? Yeah, I
Oh,
do.
okay.
Tell
I
us about that.
do teach a little bit of yoga, and this is something that's new to me. I received my 200-hour certification in March of this year when I was living in LA.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Yay.
And I moved here about a month later, and so I was really curious how I would apply my yoga teacher training. It was something that I was so interested in, and I ended up being connected with a woman through, I think it was LinkedIn, and her name is Water Shepherd, and she owns a company called Third Eye Integrations, and what she does
Like
is
that.
contracts out yoga instructors for other organizations. So one of those is Optum, which is a senior community center that's available to individuals 65 plus with a certain insurance, and it becomes free to them, and they have various
Wow.
locations here in Arizona. Was not something I was familiar with before, but there was an opportunity to start teaching there. So it started out as shadowing classes, seeing if that would be a good fit for me, and I eventually started subbing classes a couple times a week, and then pretty soon after they offered me a one-time a week permanent position. So I teach there on Mondays. It's a strength and balance class. It's called Sit, Stand, and Be Fit. So we do chair yoga, some standing, some balance, some strength training. We use little barbells. They
It's
have
65 plus.
resistance bands. They have little medicine balls. So there's a lot of variety,
Great.
and I've learned from them new moves that they like to do that they've done in other classes. I learned from observing. And then I just kept showing up and kept trying new things, and I've gotten really awesome feedback from that community specifically, and kind of felt comfortable in my teaching to then take another step and take on another yoga position, which I'm now doing as well, at a eating disorder recovery facility. It's a live-in facility.
And you don't need to say the name of it.
Yeah,
because
for
I would say the name.
adolescents.
Yes.
Live in. Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
Let's keep
so
it
they
private.
have
Yeah.
in this organization they have a variety of levels of care for different groups, age ranges, and severity of disease. So whether it's more of a hospital setting where they may be receiving like feeding tubes to actually gain body mass, where I am working is adolescent.
So what are those ages? Like 13 to 18?
Yeah, it's like
Or 13 to 25?
10 to 17.
10? You have
Yeah,
as young as
they-
that?
Really young.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. So 10 is, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have boys and girls.
Yeah, and it's boys and girls. So it's a very inclusive, they have a model of like very inclusive healing, health at every size. So this is, very personalized to each individual's body. They receive, obviously, with the yoga, they receive a bit of meditation and mindfulness introduction, that mind-body connection. And a lot of breath work, because our focus obviously is not on big movement, a lot of movement. We're not doing a large flow class where we're doing a lot of ups and downs and strength building. It's really slow.
It's meant
It's
to
really
what, relax?
internal. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
meant to allow them time to relax and reflect, and it's not always an easy thing for someone that really struggles with their body to do. So
Well, that's why it's so important, and I want you to guide us, and Martin being the life coach, that you have to be careful with your words, because sometimes when you're around kids or the youth, and you might, make a joke about like, your own body weight,
Yeah.
you don't have a problem, and you could be talking about your body weight, and that could maybe have an impact on somebody that's a child, right?
yeah,
I
definitely.
mean, how do you feel about that?
Well, I think that's definitely true. Everyone's experience, I'm sure, is so different, but I think a lot of women maybe of like my mom and her sisters and even her mom's age grew up in a time where it was all about being very small and obedient as a woman and kind of fitting into this box, both physically and metaphorically in what you would do in your life. So I do think that a lot of like harmful comments can come from even that like mother-daughter relationship that is not at all what they intend, but just happens as a pattern in your relationship year over year. I like to take an approach now where I just don't comment on people's bodies, whether it's positive or negative, because you never know what someone is experiencing. Like,
it's better to
with
just focus
that.
on
That's smart.
stuff that's overall positive, for sure healthy, no matter what body size you're at.
Yeah.
Such as yoga.
Like,
Yoga is basically healthy for everyone, unless you are, you know, have limited mobility. That'd be maybe
Yeah.
one group that would not be able to.
Even then, there's yoga that's tailored to that group.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very true, very true.
Yeah.
You know,
I was just playing
yeah.
devil's advocate.
Yeah.
That, you know, a tougher flow might be off the table for somebody who's lost
Yeah.
mobility in one
Yeah.
of their legs or something. But there still is something they can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
That's-
think,
that's so cool.
yeah, going back to kind of what you were saying about like how those comments can really affect people. I just think for my own personal experience, like probably when I was the smallest in weight, I was the most mentally unhealthy. And so when you're then getting affirmed by other people, like, wow, you look great. Oh my gosh, your body, all of this. Meanwhile, you're not taking care of yourself, not sleeping well, not eating 3 meals a day, not drinking water. You know, it can reinforce unhealthy habits. So that's why I think just not making comments about people's body, or just commenting on their presence. Like, wow, you light up the room, or you look really happy. That has such a bigger impact
yeah.
on the way
Oh,
somebody
I love that.
Yeah.
takes
See,
that
that's the guidance I
to
want.
heart.
I
Because,
love
you know,
it.
you can say the wrong things and make somebody actually obsess about their body.
Yeah.
There are two
Yeah.
sides to this coin though, because speaking from experience, I got super out of shape after COVID. Like I gained about 30 pounds of just like
Was it
alcohol.
30 pounds?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like 240 pounds back then. And
Wow.
nobody was saying anything to me. And then I posted a picture. I posted a picture on my story at a hot tub, and my best friend Chris, he like sent me back. He's like, "Bro, you're getting fat. What the hell is going on with you?" I was like, "I have no idea."
Tough love.
Yeah. And then I weighed myself, and I was like, "Oh my god, he's right." And then I like
He said
started.
that to you?
Yeah. But
What
I'm
a
so
friend
happy he
for.
did. I'm so much healthier now, and it all started
Yeah.
because he called me out about I was for sure heading down an unhealthy path, and it was visibly noticeable. Like if I show you a before and after picture now, you'd be shocked. But yeah, I was pretty pudgy, and I basically got into a stuck of bad habits because of COVID. I like used it as an excuse. I was like, oh, the gyms are closed, the hiking trails are closed. All I can do is stay inside and drink tequila.
Did they ever close in Arizona, the gyms?
Oh yeah, they did. They did for like
Well,
6 months.
There's tequila yoga, you know.
It was that's true, but it was literally just those couple months they were closed because it was a short window
Yeah.
here.
Right.
Just those couple months are how long it took me to gain that weight and get really out of shape.
Yeah.
And I noticed it was
The
totally,
sidewalks weren't closed.
and it was totally causing like different back pain and neck pain and stuff like that. And yoga is one of the things that helped me get back into shape
Yeah.
and like regain mobility in certain areas that I had lost. Because yeah, I was just, you know, stuck in a rut of bad habits. I was
Yeah.
basically just doing things that were bad for my posture and my weight. I was just drinking and eating and then DJing, so that's terrible posture. So
Yeah, well, that call out might work and be
Yeah.
appreciated by your personality
Oh, yeah.
type. I think you're probably the like what is it, the
Well, and
minority in that
and the key is that it was from a best friend.
and from a friend
So-
who knows you and
Exactly.
your personal habits on a regular basis.
So I guess the
and
moral of the story is that
are
you
very
should only
active.
the moral of my story is that you should only give that feedback to a best friend if you're sure that you see them going down a path that you think is unhealthy.
Or if they ask for it.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, were you surprised when he said that to you? Were you aware?
No, I was not
You were
aware
not
because
aware.
nobody
Oh, come
else
on.
had said anything.
You
No,
didn't
nobody had
notice
said
that you look
anything.
chubby?
No, I literally.
You didn't notice the
No,
muffin
it's
top?
like the effect you get. It's like the effect of the frog in the boiling water. If
Right.
you don't notice if it happens slowly. So
That's true.
Mhm.
That's very true.
Yeah, and if you feel the same mentally, then sometimes when you look in the mirror, it just doesn't change what you see.
Well,
And
and
I
I
think
didn't.
that's the goal, right? Is to be able to look in the mirror at whatever state and size we're in and be okay with that.
Well,
And
okay.
you just hit a very key point, because it's easy to see the pictures if you look at the before and after, but mentally you just get kind of lost.
Yeah.
And you don't realize you're stuck in a set of bad habits until something awakens you to that reality. So in my case, I was lucky to have a friend that called me out in the right manner. But, you know.
Cheers to Chris.
Yeah.
We all love Chris. Chris Kava.
Cheers.
But yeah, it's important to just emphasize health in those moments.
Yeah.
If you're trying to be supportive for somebody, you don't have to call them out as harshly as he called me out. You can be much more friendly about it and say, hey, you know what? And you don't even have to
You can
call
just
it
say,
out.
do you want to go on a walk?
Exactly, which is just
I love
asking them to do
that.
something. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a great way to
I love
do
that.
it.
I would say my story of like why and how I actually ended up getting my yoga certification, which is something I've always been interested in, and I've practiced yoga on and off for a while. But I think it kind of was a similar but different. It wasn't a friend, it was myself that kind of shook myself. I was going through a really tough time mentally, and I was dealing with a lot of anxiety and depression to the point where I was like having a hard time leaving the house without panicking, and I ended up
Why? What was the cause of that, or what was?
it was just, I mean,
Was
it
this
was
through
kind
COVID
of
or
it was
before?
kind of a little bit post-pandemic. I
Okay.
think it was actually summer of maybe 22, so it
Okay.
was like pretty recently that I actually like got on medication and
So,
And now in a
was this
much
while you were,
different-
with your current boyfriend?
mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah, so this
okay.
was about just a little bit over a year and a half ago maybe.
Okay.
And it's like post-COVID, things are like kind of starting to return to normal, but I didn't feel normal at all. And I think that was starting to really get to me.
Why?
We were like
Why do you feel
going,
like-
we were going to go out to concerts, something
Mhm.
that I absolutely love to do
Mhm.
and have always enjoyed. And I would be sick the entire week leading up to it, thinking about the crowd, the anxiety, like not being able to get out, not being able to find water or like a bathroom, like all of these things that they're like not really that rational because I've
Right.
been to all of these venues
Right.
and I know that all of those things are accessible. But for some reason I was just going through a tough time and
Mhm.
all of these factors started to add up. But literally right when I finally started my medication, which was like about a month after that, which was just a terrible time of like
what kind of medicine?
going to doctors, generic for Prozac, fluoxetine, pretty standard. I'm sure a ton of people my age and around are on it. But right around then, I also wanted to kind of change my habits.
Mm-hmm.
And doing yoga was something I've always been interested in, and I had never been a part of a yoga studio while I lived in Los Angeles. I did online yoga during the pandemic. There was a girl I followed on Instagram that would do like live videos on her Instagram, and so I would kind of do it that way, and I felt so good. I felt like I was part of a community. I felt strong physically and mentally, and so when I started the medication, I also started going to yoga.
Awesome.
And I feel like they both kind of gave me strength to do the other. Like I knew I needed to change something, but it couldn't just be one thing. And that just allowed me to start building these stronger habits. And it was only a few months after I started going to that yoga studio, maybe 2 months later in September or October, that they invited me to do their yoga teacher training. I wasn't financially ready to do that. They said, oh, well, we have scholarships. And so
Wow.
all of these
Oh,
things
wow.
started
Wow.
lining up that I was like, this is something I've always wanted to do. I feel a little bit rocky about it, but like, I think I felt like it was too good to pass up.
Wait, you said 200 hours?
200 hour
So
is
how
the
many months is
training. We did the training from October through the first or second week of March. We took a few weeks off for the holidays, but it's a 12-week program.
Wow. So
Pretty
is that how many hours a day?
You spend 1 8-hour day, 1 4-hour evening was how it was broken up for us. It was Friday evenings and Saturdays. And then during that, you're also required to take 40 plus classes, completing assignments along the way,
Wow.
eventually leading your own class, not at the studio, but your own class of peers also completing the certification. So that's kind of the final. It's both a written and a physical test.
How cool is that?
Yeah. But I just felt like it was definitely kind of like a sign from
Congrats.
everything else
Cheers to
going
that.
on. Thank
Cheers.
you.
You did it. You did. You set a goal and it
Yeah,
happened.
and that felt so good.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're helping others.
Mhm.
And that's why we're here. We're here saving the planet.
One show at a time.
Amen.
And that's what you're doing.
Yeah,
you're helping others.
I've always been inclined to help others. I mean, I studied psychology as well. I've just always been interested in what's going on in people's minds, and I think that a lot of that came from maybe not understanding what was going on in my own mind for a while, going through tough times and feeling like maybe I was alone in that. And it just, it's so beneficial to connect with other people. You realize so quickly that your experience, like,
You're not the only one.
is probably not that unique.
Mm-hmm.
And it really helps just to share humanity with other people. So I think that's kind of just my nature in recruiting. I talk to people on the phone all the time,
Well, tell us
helping
about
to
that.
find
That's
like
her-
job
that's her other job.
placements. Yes, I am a part-time recruiter, started in the tech industry. I'm now in social science research, which is very different, but of course mission-driven, which is something that really attracted me to the organization, as well as the people that I get to interact with there on a daily basis. So a lot of the aspects of my life have now really lined up toward helping people and just working with people, which is something I really enjoy.
So
I
you
love
were
it.
saying it's social sciences. Can you go a little more in depth?
Yeah, so the company is a research consulting firm.
Okay.
So they work with other organizations to evaluate social programs for their effectiveness. I was telling you, like, we're starting a new project here in Arizona where they'll be evaluating for the NCI, which is National Core Indicators of Aging and Disabilities, quality of life and satisfaction with services. So we receive participant lists from the client. All of these individuals are actively receiving services from the state, and we hire field interviewers to contact these individuals and interview them, a survey on the accessibility, the satisfaction, the quality of the services that they're receiving, and opportunities for improvements. And then we take all of that data as a company, do data analysis, and then results dissemination, sharing with the client via report what some recommendations might be for improvements.
Well, that's
So
very cool.
they work across a variety of social topics. Aging and disability, community services, health, and education are the main focus areas.
That's
Nice.
incredible.
Really
Did you
cool.
know she does that?
Yeah, very impressive. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. Yeah, it's
It's a lot
makes
going
for
on.
some busy weeks.
So were your parents involved in this kind of activity as well? Is that where you got inspired? How did you get
No,
inspired?
I don't know. Well, my parents, I would say, my mom, while maybe not a helper by trade, is definitely a helper in her life. She has a great community. I grew up in a small town where my mother still lives, and while she unfortunately recently lost her partner, my stepdad, she remains in that community because she has built such strong relationships there. She has great friends around her, extended family through my step siblings and her now grandkids. So yeah, she doesn't foresee leaving there, which I think is great because she has spent a lot of time building that community, and it's time for her to now feel that support.
Oh, I love that.
That's very sweet.
Well, sorry to hear about your stepdad.
Thank you.
Is she visiting often here? Has she been to Arizona yet?
She did come out for Mother's Day. My
Good.
partner and I, who we just moved in together in April when we moved to Arizona.
How's that going?
Amazing. We had our moms out for Mother's Day
Oh, nice.
to
Both of them.
That's
both
cool.
of them and his little sister. Unfortunately, my sister wasn't able to make it to that trip. she's a little busy in her last year of medical school and planning a wedding. So
Yeah, that's a lot.
So did the moms get along?
oh yeah.
Good
Okay,
question.
so
Good question.
yeah.
There's been movies made about this stuff.
Well, my mom, I
Right?
knew that they would get along because my mom gets along with everyone,
Everybody, yeah.
and
Ah.
so
She's one
does
of those,
his.
right.
So Jonah's mom is a hairdresser, so
Mhm.
she's very social, and I can't go anywhere with my mom without her knowing somebody in that store location.
I know that feeling, too.
Yeah. I know.
She could like snap her fingers and everyone in the restaurant walks
Yeah.
out. Like some John
Yes,
Wick
we
shit
had that
going
experience
on.
yesterday.
Didn't we?
Yeah. I think you knew everyone at the bar at Hillstone.
Well, let's go to 20 places and you'll see. They're
Yeah.
all like that.
Oh, it'll be just like
It's
going
like
around
Norm and
Auburn
No,
with
she's
Cheers.
sending
my
Owen to
mom.
Everybody
infiltrate the
walks in,
operation.
like,
Bingo!
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'd love to meet your mom. She sounds
Yeah,
lovely.
absolutely. I'd love to have her out soon. We're gonna go home and spend some time there for Christmas.
Where's that?
My mom is in Auburn, which is a small town in the foothills, a little bit northeast of Sacramento.
Yeah, I
On
have
the
a
way to
friend
beautiful
who
Lake
lives
Tahoe.
there.
And
Just
on
moved
the
there. Her mom lived there, and she just moved there. Good
oh
friend
yeah,
who moved there from L.A. She's a musician.
oh wow.
Auburn is beautiful.
Yeah, it is great place. Great place to grow up. I was very lucky to grow up in the beautiful foothills there with
Yeah.
Tahoe as my backyard, and
Lake Tahoe?
yeah.
Wow.
Chad, you spent some time there.
No, she
And
was
then-
talking about a Chevy Tahoe. Playing in their Chevy Tahoe.
Yeah. And then my dad's in Reno now. Reno, Nevada.
So you get to visit
I go
there.
between both places. I'll fly into Reno and I'll fly out of Sac.
I love it. So I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of the personal stuff, but moving in together
But let's do
can be.
it.
Let's
Moving in
scatter
together.
around the circle.
Yeah. I'll dance around it. We'll see.
Okay, so like moving in together, I feel like to me one of the hardest parts about being in a relationship is who's the neat
Farts.
freak.
No, I'm kidding.
Like
Oh.
yeah, exactly. Like who's the neat freak,
Obviously, it's the man. Women don't fart.
right? Right. Thank you. High five.
And then when you hear the
Yeah,
first
there
one,
you
it's like
go.
a
Of
horror
course not.
movie. They exist.
What were you saying, Kinga?
I love this
saying-
fantasy novel you guys are
Okay, so I think I'm somebody that likes things tidy.
Mm-hmm.
I want everything to go in its place. I don't like clutter. Like if there is clutter, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to get rid of it, and it gives me like, oh, I have to get rid of it. And then also I like things very clean,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that sometimes the man can be kind of messy.
Yeah.
And so, how are you guys adjusting? Who's
Well-
more the neat freak?
Yeah, I'm definitely more the neat freak, but luckily in our previous apartments in LA, we were both the clean ones. So I felt confident like going into that situation, right? He was way
Yeah.
cleaner than Grant.
Yeah. Oh. Definitely. He's kind of a little pig. Still love it.
Yeah.
We
so
love you, Grant.
We
Even
do.
though
you're a
we
messy
do.
bag.
You might smell bad, but we
So
love you.
I felt pretty confident going into it. I knew that I would have my quirks,
Mhm.
but I think as I mentioned yesterday, I started to adapt even when I was living with roommates in LA. This mentality of like, instead of getting upset that nobody else wants to clean the way that I do, I'll just clean it since I seem to be the only one bothered.
Mhm.
So if
Makes
it
sense.
bothers me
That makes sense.
that something's in the dish sink that needs to go in the dishwasher.
Instead of nagging and
Yeah, you
Instead
just
of
get it
like,
done.
I could do it in
Yeah.
2 seconds, but it might take 2 hours for me to like nail down my partner and ask him to put it in the
Yes,
after his
yes.
meeting or whatever. So I think a little bit
And then
of
you're
it
nagging.
is like picking your battles.
Right.
But
And
also
it
still
sounds
setting boundaries.
Sounds like also picking up each other's slack when it's efficient. Like,
right,
obviously, you
when
don't have
it's
to do.
efficient.
Yeah, you don't have to do everything for your partner,
Mhm.
but it's very inefficient and unsustainable if your partner is bringing every little thing up. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Sometimes it's important to just say, "Oh, they forgot to throw this thing. Oh, sorry, they forgot to throw this thing away. I'll just do that for
Yeah.
them." It's so inefficient if you make a big deal out of every little
Mhm.
thing like
Yeah.
that.
That's
Because
true.
I've had that happen in past relationships where like,
Oh, same.
what do I get home and she's like, "You left this cup here."
and
this paper here. But it's like, Okay, is Sherlock Holmes investigating
Okay,
my
but,
whereabouts?
like,
What the fuck's going on?
Just because I don't say it doesn't mean I don't know exactly where that piece of paper was sitting.
Right, that's What
yeah.
were you most pleasantly surprised moving in with this gentleman?
That's a good question.
Oh yeah,
Jonah.
that's Jonah is
Jonah.
his name.
Jonah.
I remember meeting him. I just
Yeah.
remember the name. So
Wow.
what were you most pleasantly surprised?
That's a great question.
That is a great question.
Yeah.
I love that question.
Well, I lucked out. His mom was in a past life in interior design before she went into
Oh, wow.
hairdressing.
Oh,
And I
okay.
think he picked up a lot of that because he
Absolutely.
was really on top of picking out the furniture and on free and for sale finding the dining table
Wow.
and all of these things. So I think that was amazing. Like
A guy with
I
taste.
like in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm an interior designer. Like, check out my Pinterest board. But he was out there like putting it into action.
I can confirm it looks good in there.
Yeah, and that was
Yeah.
really impressive to me.
So he was
that's
the one that
really
took more
cool.
action than you did.
Yeah, he really
Wow.
he really got the apartment looking homey really quickly, and I don't think I
Wow.
would have taken that same initiative.
That's
Most guys
impressive.
I know are not like that. Like
Yeah.
I am not like that. My partner, my wife she takes care of all the home design.
Yeah.
If she wants a new couch, it's what she wants, that kind of thing. But I get what you mean.
Yeah,
That's pretty
and
cool.
of course there have been so many other pleasant things that have come up, like the way that we're able to meet new friends around here and the way that we show up in those relationships has been good, because a lot of the relationships we had in LA were people that like I knew before and then he knew before. So it's fun to meet people together and see the way that we show up as a couple. So it's been just, really
The
interesting.
chat is
kind
with
of.
both of you guys.
Yeah, well, Chet was, also
I met Jonah
more
freshman year
Jonah's,
of college, though.
yeah.
So like I've known Jonah for like almost 10 years now.
Oh,
but,
wow.
Yeah, but it's awesome though the
I knew
dynamic
that,
of becoming
but-
friends with both of them now, and now
Yeah.
I'm very close.
I
with both
knew
of
that,
them,
but
so.
when you say that out loud, it makes me sound old. So
I
don't
know,
say
isn't that isn't that so crazy?
You have children?
I'm not really the mother. I'm not really the mother.
I'm adopted.
You don't look old enough to have kids.
So that's very
You're
interesting
such a
because
nice man.
but it's interesting because typically the stereotype is the man is the one that will let the woman decide the interior, like your wife. She's deciding it
And
all,
the
and he's good at that.
details, I would say the
Oh, I'm
details are where
grateful.
I can definitely shine. Like,
But
yeah.
my ex-husband, somebody's father, and somebody's father, he was extremely opinionated about what the furniture was and what the decor was. I mean, to the point where like I just kind of like threw my hands up and I was like, okay. And it's funny because if you see pictures of what my place looked like, where somebody in the room was raised, not my son, but somebody.
That young whippersnapper over there.
You can see clearly like what I have now and how I design things now
Oh, that's
compared to how it was
interesting.
before.
Sure.
That
Yeah.
there's a day and night difference. So it's really interesting. I was very
See,
happy.
I have no say.
Okay, well you're forgetting to
She
include
asked
an
my
important
opinion.
fact.
If I go, I like the brown one, she goes, we're getting the green one. That's totally
You're forgetting
fine.
to
I
include
mean, I
an
have no
important
problem
fact.
with
He
it.
likes to collect like old basically treasures, things that are interesting to him.
Right.
He doesn't care at all if they look good together.
I love. Okay, thank you. I love.
There are very cool things in there.
Yes,
But do
yes.
they go together? Definitely not. Your place is all very cohesive.
Like
all
peanut
the
butter
colors
steak,
go well.
really good by
I think they
themselves,
go
but
well.
together.
See, you mentioned a very important word, stereotype.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And this is the dynamic that when people are stuck in that dynamic of stereotype, then it doesn't
That's-
leave a lot of wiggle room,
Yeah.
you
That's
know,
very
for change.
fair.
And also,
That's
don't you
true.
think a lot of this is about control? The C word.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
It is. It is. It is.
I don't know. I think part of it's personality type though, because
Well,
I would not
that's-
care at all. Like if
Yeah.
I started
Yeah.
decorating a new place with a new significant other, I would just be like, "You pick it all. As long as it doesn't look bad and it's not like all pink or something, I'm gonna be happy." You know.
But let's say down the road if you have all these things you have collected, or not a lot, but some things, and she came in and said, "We're getting rid of this. We're getting rid of that. We're getting rid of that." How would you feel?
I mean, that's silly.
That's what happened. So I was
the man
okay
cave
with
is for.
That's what I was going to say. In that hypothetical situation, each person has their own room to
Yeah.
put those things. Yeah.
This
so.
is a great exercise in communication and
Yes.
cooperation.
But it's like.
But yeah, let's say both people do care. It's important to meet in the middle.
Yeah.
You
and
gotta meet in the
compromise.
middle.
Yeah.
Compromise.
Compromise,
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I
So-
think you're
Another C
absolutely
word.
right. Compromise and control.
A good C
right?
word.
Yeah.
Yeah. The good
Who's
C
that?
word.
Yeah.
And Chet can deny this or say that's not true, but I think
Such a weird way to start a
Well,
statement.
Well, because I think my
But people might say it's bullshit. But here we go. Like, what? Such a weird way to preface something.
But your
Some
dad,
say this is horseshit. But here it goes.
you have
Why?
You,
Just say it, and then I'll call it bullshit if it is.
You have an amazing. There's a man that you know that I know too. He's amazing, and he's an amazing person. But there's slightly a little bit of control factor that he does have, and I just wanted things to be happy and harmonious. So I picked my.
When did this episode turn into you talking about your ex? Let's go back to Morgan's life. It's actually interesting.
Okay, that's true. That's true. But I would do it all
I'm
again.
good with that.
So back to Morgan.
Well, I wonder if it's a kind of a generational thing, because I think like my generation, our generation, not yours. There was definitely on the male side. There's definitely more of a control thing, and I'm wondering if this younger generation of men is a little bit different. Do you find that?
Oh, that's
Morgan?
true. Oh, that probably.
I'm just curious.
You're smart because a lot of
Maybe.
women a long time ago, not in our generation, but a long time ago, they weren't working.
Well, absolutely, and I just like I was in that suck it up buttercup generation, right? Which is definitely more of a control type thing, and men had to be a certain way, and I think that's changing, and so I'm wondering from Morgan's perspective.
Yeah, I don't know, and I guess I can't speak to the experience of being a man, so I don't know what that like feels
Yeah,
like
but you've had
internally.
experiences
But
of
I would
men.
say, like maybe from what you would expect, even on like a first date scenario, there may be a little bit more complacency on the male side, or like less initiative that is taken. That would definitely have been expected in the past, but
Okay.
maybe is more.
But to answer your question, I feel like
today.
All right, that's fair.
But to answer your question, I feel like there's definitely more misogyny in those older generations.
for
100%.
Definitely.
So that is going away.
Okay, you're probably going to be. Never mind. I'm not going to tell you that part, but sometimes I felt like he cared more about the things than me. Like he cared more about the furniture than me. Like he was ready to leave me if I didn't like his furniture.
And I think that was more of like a generational thing, right? I do think that more people that I think that are older than I am, although I hang out with younger people than my own age, so it's hard for me to this is how my generation is. But I do find on Facebook and things like that, I take a look at the people I went to high school with, and they definitely seem to be more rigid than the younger folks that I know.
I think that's true in the case of the overall trend, but it's still a case by case kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Like her next door neighbor might be the same age, and he let her pick everything.
I thought you were gonna say your next boyfriend.
Next door neighbor. No, so her next door neighbor might be from the same generation, born in the same year, and they might be totally different.
Yeah,
I'm definitely speaking in generality.
But that's why
no
it's so
doubt.
important to find somebody where it's compatible, because if you're both really particular and you're butting heads with something like that,
Yeah.
you're not compatible.
But that's something that I love is I think that Rachel and Chet, that are some people I know, they
people you
are
know?
some people I know. They're not my kids.
Oh.
But these people, somebody I know, they care more about experiences than things, and I really feel like they learned that from me, and I am that way. Like I'm totally about the experience.
Sure. You are definitely.
I'm all about the experience, and both Rachel and Chet are that way.
Yeah.
They're very like they live in the moment.
I think
and
that
they,
the younger folks. Younger folks now. No, I do think that is definitely more of a thing, and I think it's wonderful because I'm definitely that way.
Yes.
I want to experience life in its fullest, and I haven't always been that way though. Like
Oh,
when I
really?
was younger, I was definitely more rigid, definitely more misogynistic, I would say. And so it took,
because that's what you were exposed to as a kid. This
Yeah.
is what
Absolutely.
this is what was modeled
Yes.
for you when you were
Yes.
a child.
Yeah.
you know,
Exactly.
growing up.
Absolutely.
I grew up in the 50s. Holy shit! I mean,
Well, things are
a
cool.
little bit
Things are
different
cool,
back
but
then,
every single
right?
thing is going to crumble to dust one day. But every experience you have, that will exist forever. That happened.
Yep. So,
Yeah, and I think there's so many examples of the people that do chase the wealth, the money, the job, whatever, and it doesn't end up equating to happiness. So I think it just depends what you're seeking in your life,
100%.
too.
I've had a few friends that, went through that chase over the past decade, and a few friends that got fired after putting like 5 years of just such crazy amounts of work at these
and then
companies.
just have an identity crisis.
Yeah, and just have like basically the rug swept out from under you. And like that's all I've put all my work towards for the past 5 years. So it's important to diversify and have a lot of different aspects to your personality.
Yeah, and being flexible, I think, ends up equaling more happiness because there's more opportunities for things to happen to you that you just accept.
And I believe in God, and I believe that when something bad happens, something better is waiting for you around the corner.
Yeah.
And that is what I've been experiencing again and again
and
again.
that's an attitude. Right. You can definitely see the life as one problem after another, but you can also see life as one opportunity after another.
Perspective, man.
Whoa.
Perspective can be the same dang life, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Perspective turns things 180, just like that.
Absolutely. Like everything that happens, it happens for a reason, and it's making you a better person.
It always is.
Even a plumbing situation I just had.
Well, how did that work out?
It turned out.
Good.
I met like this new guy's my best friend now is a plumber.
Well, going back into ways that people can make themselves better, though, we should talk about more yoga. And where can people find you if they want to do a class with you?
Oh.
For our listeners who are...
You ever see the way those guys
I know. They
get
definitely
under a
need some
sink and
yoga.
they twist their bodies?
I was going to say, where are you teaching right now? For people that listen or in Arizona.
That's a good question. And unfortunately, right now, I'm not teaching at a studio that anyone could just go to.
She's healing people.
But I do love to host classes like for my friends at the park.
Cool.
Now that the weather is a little bit nicer, it's a beautiful time to do that.
We could start doing classes in the backyard.
So yeah, we could absolutely do some more community-based classes. That's what I did in LA when I had just gotten my certificate to just get comfortable with finding a teaching voice. I hosted classes with my group of friends on Sundays in LA. We would go to different parks or do it in our backyard or whatever.
Right.
And that was awesome. I really enjoyed it. So I ended up doing that with a few of the ladies that I met here in Scottsdale for one Sunday before it was way too hot. So we'll have to get back to that. But yeah, I think like future yoga opportunities are definitely out there. I know a lot to kind of play with in terms of the entrepreneurship of it, private sessions. So it's definitely something I'm open to, I guess, in the meantime. Just follow my Instagram, and I would always post about things on there at Morgan Ray Lee. And yeah, I'll always post about like yoga opportunities there and probably highlight more so the ones that I'm going to within the community, just as an opportunity to meet more people in that community and like-minded space.
So when you are your ideal job teaching yoga, which you're already doing, because you're healing and helping others.
Yeah.
But if you're doing like the cardio type yoga, fast paced.
Yeah.
Do you teach that?
I could. I don't have as much experience with it. I would say where I've more so been teaching would probably be at a restorative, which is like the yin stretching. You're staying in one posture for several minutes, really coming into a state of relaxation across the whole body, allowing your body to like start repairing those systems that don't get to be tended to when we're in this heightened state of stress that we spend most of our time in.
Right.
So I would say yin and more intro basics is where I'm comfortable. I could definitely do a slow flow. It just would take a little bit more practice on my part. But I'm pretty open to all types of teaching and learning experiences. I am really curious about prenatal yoga as well. So I would say that's something I would definitely want to explore more.
I was about to chime in about the fact that those fast flows, it's important to be at a pretty advanced level if you're doing those, because some of those, if you're moving with the wrong form or you're using the wrong muscles to move, it's actually counterintuitive and injury risk.
And it's also often
true.
in those
That's true.
in those flows, it's like one breath, one movement. And if you're on the opposite, if you're like exhaling when you should be inhaling, you're probably not optimizing the oxygen in your body. So yeah, it does definitely take a bit of comfortability. And there's different levels for all of those classes. At a typical yoga studio, you'll find anything from beginner intro yoga to a heated flow. They love heated yoga out here, like it's not hot enough.
I don't.
Oh my gosh.
I don't like it. Yeah, the Bikram stuff. I've done a couple of Bikram.
Yeah.
And it's rough. Like it's 108
it's
inside, and you go
intense.
outside and it's still hot.
Yeah, I never do the hot
Yeah.
ones.
It's definitely
I did it
intense.
twice.
Friends that
and-
swear by it though.
I've
Really
done it.
love it.
I
Oh,
did
there's
actually
definitely
start at a studio here, a heated studio, when I moved, because seems like that's what all the people are doing.
right.
So I figured I would try it, and I definitely got used to it. I think I went for maybe five weeks. They had a great intro deal that you could get like a month for $40 or something. So I was doing that, and it definitely takes probably 2 weeks and 4 or 5 classes to get comfortable, even staying in the room in the heat.
Oh, it's
Not even moving.
Yeah.
Well, there are supposed health benefits to it, but
Like a sauna.
yeah, but you also
there are.
have to offset with like extra hydration
So
and
much
stuff
water.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
electrolytes after.
Well,
For me
So much
personally,
water
it takes a
during-
lot of the like enjoyment and the relaxation out of it, which
Yeah.
is
That's
part
a
of the
very different
yeah.
spectrum of yoga.
I've done
100%. And it's less of a
I call
meditative
it-
experience
I call
for
it
me,
yoga
so-
for masochists.
Literally, I agree with that.
Well, I've done it a few times, and I feel like the whole time I'm like going, when is this going to be over?
Yeah.
When is it-
Daydreaming
oh my
about
gosh,
water.
when
like,
is this
gonna be
have a
over?
mirage.
Yes.
Yeah.
The only thing I think of is, I look at my, oh my gosh, there's still 40 minutes left. It's like, that's what I'm thinking when I'm
That's
doing
not the
it.
experience.
That
you
means
want.
it's not for me.
Unless you
Yeah.
get
Still
into it.
It's not for me.
No.
But what you said, Chad, about form is very important. You know, I do Pilates,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
which in some ways is similar to yoga, but form is key. And I know, if I'm doing something and the form's not right, and that I'm compromising or sacrificing the form, then I know that I have to stop and reset.
Mm-hmm.
The form and the breathing,
Yeah.
very, very important.
And
100%.
to get
Form.
what you're supposed to get out of it, form is crucial.
And the faster you go, the more momentum you can use,
Yeah.
which is taking the work away from your muscles.
Exactly.
Right,
You,
and
you don't want momentum.
form-
You want.
will be more important than, like, for example, in yoga, like the extent to which you can stretch. Like, you would rather have all of your muscles in alignment and not stretch as far than stretch when you're not in proper form and possibly hurt yourself. You're not getting the actual benefits of that stretch or
Exactly.
pose. So yeah, definitely I would agree with that.
Yeah, so it is important to ease your way into it if you're a beginner. It's just like anything else. Don't try to start with the super advanced,
And there are
fast
also
cardio movements.
probably, or definitely, like, good and not so great teachers, or for your own personal taste and style. So it's,
Well, why don't we do a class with you this weekend?
okay. I think I'm around this weekend.
You want to do a class?
We're going to be out of town this weekend.
Where
I'll,
to?
we are going up to Prescott.
Oh.
And
Fun.
they have a bunch of Christmas stuff going on up there. So.
Oh, nice.
Oh, I went to that last year.
Yeah, it should
Like
be
a
lot of
little.
fun.
That's very fun.
That's
Street
great.
Yeah, a little
festival.
street festival
It's
that they
very
do
fun.
in the town square.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
lots
it's
of,
really
Oh,
great.
that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Prescott's everyone's hometown.
It is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the place you
Yeah.
go to get those.
And we know a couple of bands up there that we're going to
Nostalgic.
go check out.
Yeah.
And like the Cross-Eyed Possums are one of our favorites up there. They're a lot of fun.
Okay.
So,
Oh, I'll have to
cool.
check it out.
Yeah, Prescott and Flagstaff
Prescott.
are both such that like small town energy, but
Mhm.
really fun. Yeah.
Even more so in Prescott,
Yeah.
you know,
yeah, I would
with
say
that town square and
Yeah.
you know, it's just the history.
And they make it really Christmassy.
Oh, I'll
they
have to check it
definitely
out.
do.
That's very
yeah,
fun.
we've got a bunch of friends that live up there, so we're going to go up there and hang out with
Oh,
them
cool.
and just chill.
Is there a band that's playing or something?
Cross-Eyed Possums are probably the ones that we'll go see.
Oh, that
There's
one, yeah.
definitely,
You already
there's
said
definitely
that.
a couple of them,
That's a
yeah.
great name.
Okay. Cross
Yeah,
it.
right.
Where are
Yeah,
they
it's a-
playing?
I don't remember where, but it's these two brothers, identical twins. One plays the bass, one plays guitar. They are amazing. One plays stand-up bass and,
Okay.
and
Nice.
classical guitar, and then they've got another gentleman that plays fiddle. And they're just amazing musicians. And we've known them and have been watching them since they were teenagers. And they would like
Wow. How old
they
are
would
they now?
guess they're probably maybe early 20s, probably
Okay.
same age as JJ, maybe a little bit younger.
Okay.
And they're just starting like to go on tour and stuff. And I mean, we've been seeing them at the bluegrass festival and stuff since they were
Oh,
kids.
okay.
Wow.
And they would
That's
go
cool.
up there as
Yeah,
kids
you
and
said
play
fiddle,
with.
I'm thinking bluegrass.
Yeah. It's definitely kind of bluegrass,
Yeah,
more on
yeah.
the countryside. But they're going, and we love bluegrass, so we'll go up there for a bluegrass festival, and then they be guest performers for a professional bluegrass band, and just get up there as kids and just.
Martin's
jam
out there
with these
smoking
guys.
grass at a bluegrass show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I like to smoke bluegrass at bluegrass.
Well, I think that we
Awesome.
have the holidays coming up, and
I'm so excited
we'll be
for
doing
that,
a
too.
Christmas show. We'll be
Yep.
doing a New Year's show.
Yes.
Does anybody have their?
Oh.
Is everybody ready for this Christmas season? What's your Christmas
Yeah.
wish?
Oh, I'm just excited to spend time with my family. Like I
Mhm.
mentioned, we had a bit of a tough fall time, but I mean, really a tough several years. So I'm excited to just spend some quality time with family. I think the last few years have really been an emphasis on just like spending time together, and it's totally de-emphasized the gifts and the presents that I used to look forward to as a kid, and also just finally being in a place where I have everything that I need.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a privilege to be able to ask for the things that I just want. So yeah, I'm just quality time. It's all you can ask for, especially when you don't live in the same state as your parents.
Oh, that's really sweet. How about you?
Well, part of me, when it comes to Christmas, would just like to fall asleep for a couple of months.
I know that feeling.
And then,
Hibernation. There's a word
Yeah,
for
and
that.
then wake up when it's over because
I was asleep earlier.
it's just so
Confirmed
overwhelming.
Richard's a bear.
And it's just the worst of consumerism.
Okay,
Mhm.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
All that stuff.
Okay,
you
you're
know.
being the Grinch.
No,
What
I'm
about
just
you?
saying, and
And?
I look forward to the tradition, get out with the same group of friends for a
Yeah.
Christmas
Friend.
celebration every year,
Mhm.
things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's I just so turned off by all the
Yeah.
the
What if he
noise,
starts describing the
noise.
Grinch plot? He's like, sometimes I want to take all the toys.
Yeah, all the noise.
All the noise.
All the roast beef. Roast
Really
beef.
is
What about you? What about you?
Well, I'm looking forward to spending time with friends and family. My mom and dad, they used to go all out for Christmas and spend ridiculous amount of money on us and the kids, and that was fun at the time. But like you, like I see it as more of a privilege to actually spend time together. So they're actually going for more of the experience route, which we were talking about earlier. So now everyone's Christmas presents for my mom and dad is in October they buy king crab legs and they freeze them, and then Christmas Eve they make king crab legs with butter and potatoes
Yeah.
and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the experience that we have together to
Yeah.
eat together as a
Okay.
family
Nice.
and eat this amazing
It's
king
2023.
crab.
It's non-gender specific crabs nowadays.
That's
I'm
right. It
kidding.
could be king or queen.
Yes.
Well, What about you, Chad?
Royalty crowd.
I would say
We have 2 minutes.
remember that while it is a special time of year, it is also a stressful time of year.
Mhm.
And
Exactly.
so much of mental
That's what
health
I'm
is related to
talking
your
about.
physical health. Move every day,
Mhm.
whether you're doing yoga,
A
going
walk.
for a run, lifting weights, doing some biking, swimming, do
Yes.
something, move. Especially if you're feeling crappy, especially if you feel like not moving, that's even more of a reason you need to move.
Mhm.
Movement is medicine, and don't forget that. If you're feeling down, go for a run, run it out, do some yoga, stretch it out.
Be nice to yourself.
I was just gonna say that. Be gentle with yourself and others.
I
It's
love
a
that.
tough time for
Always
some
good
people.
advice.
And the number
For
one
a lot
way-
of
There he is.
people.
It's a very stressful time.
And the number one way you can truly love yourself is by taking care of your body, and exercise is one of the most important pillars
Yep.
of that. So don't
Gotta-
forget that.
In
Show
coaching,
up for
we like to say
yourself.
you've got to be greedy to be generous. You
Mm.
have to take care of yourself
Yes,
before you can
we're
take care
on
of others.
exactly. We're on the same page.
Be greedy to be generous. I love
Yeah,
that.
you
so
have to
spread
give
the
to
love
yourself.
and bring the joy in the green and black green, saving the planet.
One
One
show at a time.